Howdy, it's Ranger, Minneapolis-based correspondent. Over Memorial Day, I headed over to Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park in Wisconsin, Dells. In this video, we'll go over the roller coasters, go-karts, and other dry rides, and we'll go over the water park in the next video. I had some audio issues in the parking lot here, but we'll start with Hades 360. This is the park's best known attraction, and it's the 7th tallest wood coaster in the world, according to Wikipedia. In 2013, Gravity Group came in and added a 0G roll, thus the reason for 360 in the name. New trains were also added at this time. The ride opens with the drop right out of the station into a twister section with good speed and laterals. This large drop takes the train to 60 miles per hour before ducking underneath the parking lot into a long tunnel. Now the tunnel is pitch dark. It used to have lights, but not anymore. Coming out of the tunnel, we hit the 0G roll, which is the smoothest part of the ride. Next, we hit an overbank turn before dropping back into the tunnel and heading back to the station. I had only ridden this ride once before this visit, but it used to be just a brutally rough ride. I think it is running smoother now, and it's still a really intense ride. It's one of the most intense wood coasters in the world, actually. So if you like the big, fast, forceful wood coasters, this is probably going to be your favorite ride in the park. This roller coaster is Zeus, which is one of the most popular rides in the park. It starts with this 85-foot drop and has some nice pops of airtime. It's pretty smooth too, and it was partially retracted in 2018. There's a couple double downs and a turnaround at the far side. I would say it's probably the second best ride in the park. For the year 2020, staying in the Mount Olympus Hotel Resort is required to gain access to any of the parks. That's a policy probably only valid for this year, I would imagine. The price point is actually pretty low for what you get, so I wouldn't worry about spending too much money to get in here. Here's a sign showing a few park policies you might want to familiarize yourself with before you book a trip out here. The Cyclops Rollercoaster is closed today, unfortunately. I rode this on my only other visit here in 2009. I do remember that in the back seat of this train, there is a sign saying that you had to be 18 years old to sit in the back. So I didn't know if that was just because it was super rough or whatever, but as it turns out, the second hill just had ridiculous ejector airtime, so evidently it was enough of an issue that it was thought to be a safety issue at some point in time. But this was rectified in 2014. There was a change to the track, and so that no longer is the case. Again, unfortunately, I was not able to ride this today, but it's a pretty decent medium-sized wood coaster. Pegasus here is the 4th wooden roller coaster at this park. It's the smallest wood coaster, and it's probably the least well-maintained as well. I thought this ride was very, very rough. I did ride towards the back. The other ones I didn't ride quite as far back. I feel like this really needs some work. Basically, it goes down this hill and it goes down a square as it comes back. And then the breaker, and there's this nasty, nasty S-curve right before the end of the ride. And there's no brakes before it, so you just fly through it and you get thrown left to right, and it's kind of painful. We're by the turbo track at the bottom of the hill here. There's a turbo track. We have the Apollo swing. This is kind of like Skyhawk at Cedar Point or Extreme Swing at Valley Fair. There's a couple of these at the Fun Spots in Orlando as well. It's the same ride, although they are charged $10 here to ride it. And also the Little Titans this year, you have to be between 40 and 56 inches tall. So this is only for the kids on this one. So nerds, you're out of luck, sorry. The first go-kart track we'll take a look at is the Underworld. And I swear this track used to be longer than it is right now. I don't know what happened or why the change was. I'll show you some evidence that validates my position that this used to be a longer track in a second here. But this is kind of a long, winding track. I do like the section that goes all the way around this little lake out here. It is kind of scenic. The most interesting part of this track is this dive underneath the terrain right here. So here's a map of the park and some of the immediate property. This is the Hotel Rome. This was their original hotel. They own a bunch more hotel properties now, so we're staying just to the left of that on this particular trip. There's the water park. Let me show you what I was talking about here. This is the Underworld track I just showed you, and look at this. It says Poseidon, and it's got these helixes on it. So I swear I'm remembering this correctly. I'm not sure why these got taken out. Turbo track is probably the least interesting of the go-kart tracks here. It's a pretty flat course, no major undulations. The course doesn't really have any great turns either. Not a very tactical race. The Titans track is kind of in the middle in the hierarchy of go-kart tracks that they have here. There's some decent turns, especially that one behind the Pegasus roller coaster here. It does go in and out of the roller coaster. You can kind of see the Waterpark. It's an alright go-kart track. The Trojan Horse is one of the better go-kart tracks here. As you can see, this section with this Trojan Horse is out by the road on the other side so everybody can see it. It's a nice little touch. There's some nice hills you wind up and down, and it's a pretty fast-paced race. This Helix section was removed from this track. You bypass it and go underneath it and through the center of the horse at the bottom. I don't know why this was taken out of the route. I don't know if this is a temporary thing or if this was done several years ago, but I do hope it comes back. The best go-kart track here is definitely Helios. There are two separate helixes on this track, and there's a good amount of strategy as you have to transition between one side of the course to the other as you go between the helixes. This is similar to some of the ones at Fun Spot in Orlando. I know a lot of you have ridden some of those. This is on par with the best ones there. The Orion Intermediate track is the 6th go-kart track here, and you have to be between 45 and 56 inches, so this is just for the little ones. This is the Manticore. It's a swing ride. It's about 125 feet tall. Takes you up high enough to see the whole rest of the park. Get some wind in your face. And this is unique from some of the other ones because the entire tower spins. It's not just the gondola that spins stationary tower. We're about to transition and take a look at the water park here, but first let's finish up the dry side. Over here is a lot of shops, candy stores, and restaurants in that building. And in this building is the quote-unquote indoor theme park. There's a spinning roller coaster in there. I don't remember what else is in there. Of course, it's closed today. Also closed is the indoor water park. Now, these two indoor theme park, indoor water parks should be open year-round under normal circumstances, and they would be open to guests during the summer as well during normal circumstances. I don't remember a whole lot about what's in here. There's not a ton, but I do remember there is one green body slide that is pretty quick that I'm a fan of.